You and I haven't always agreed on how much latitude enhanced individuals deserve. But what you've accomplished has given me reason to reconsider. Which is why I want you, Captain America, to help me rebuild the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yes, sir.
Oh, with all due respect, sir, when you passed the Sokovia Accords, you tore the Avengers apart. Why the change of heart?
I represent all Americans now. Hell, half of them wouldn't even be here without the Avengers. The country needs this.
And when we disagree on how to manage a situation, what happens then?
Sam Wilson has hesitation when President Ross asked him to restart the Avengers in the latest installment of the MCU with Captain America, Brave New World. All right, Brad. So
Here we go.
So MCU is back on the big screen. They only had one movie last year, which was Deadpool and Wolverine.
Was that an MCU movie?
I mean, it's under the MCU banner, so I guess we have to.
was in it.
There you go. So we're back. There's a lot of projects MCU has on the docket for this year.
Some might say too many.
Yeah, but you know, they're playing catch up now. So we started off with Captain America, Brave New World. This was a movie that, you know, we were a little bit hesitant kind of going into this movie. We definitely had hope for it. I'll just kind of kick this off where I'll say that I was very reticent to going into this movie, but as I was watching it, because I had heard about the reshoots, I had heard about all the troubles behind the scenes. As I'm watching this movie, I'm like, it's not as bad as I thought it was. I felt like it was going to be.
What a wonderful place to be. This is not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
And I hate going there because we always get caught up with everything that we hear about these movies leading up to it.
You know, the MCU. It eats up so much conversation
Too much
online.
conversation, way too much.
You know, anytime one of these movies comes out, we have to then sit for a month before and a month after talking about Captain America, Brave New World. It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
We do not need to spend so much energy talking about MCU movies.
Thank you.
That being said, at one point, I was obsessed with the MCU.
Yeah.
I loved seeing my favorite characters from the Marvel comics be interpreted and projected onto the big screen.
Yeah.
You look at all the movies before Endgame, and there are some ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like post-Endgame, for a variety of reasons, it's been a big decline, right?
Yeah.
And there's been pops of greatness, okay? She-Hulk on Disney+. Amazing. I don't care what anyone says.
You're going down that hill.
That movie is great. There's a lot of She-Hulkers out there.
Hey,
we are strong.
Look, I like the show too. I'm just saying.
Sensational, some might say. Anyway, so we're getting 3 cinematic Marvel movies. This is the first one. Sam Wilson is Captain America. I've wanted to see this for so long.
Yeah.
It is wild that this movie is a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and The Eternals, right? Those are the movies. You need to see those movies. If you skip those movies before seeing Brave New World,
be a little lost.
You're going to be a little confused. And I love that we go all the way back to 2008 and pull a character out of that movie and make him a central figure. I love it. Unfortunately,
it doesn't work though.
It doesn't work. The screenplay is awful.
Yeah.
I think some performances are strong. I still love Anthony Mackie.
Oh no, it's not. I wouldn't place anything at the feet of Anthony Mackie as far as the blame of this movie. You're right. I think it does start with the script. I mean, first of all, there's way too much exposition. There's a lot of ADR. We've talked about that, where you can kind of see where some of the reshoots were happening.
And that's not new for Marvel. Most Marvel movies are remade and reshoots.
My biggest thing with this movie is the fact that when I look at what the Russos did with Winter Soldier and Civil War and the character of Steve Rogers, where that character had a point of view, he had a purpose. Like this movie, when you're talking about a black man taking over the mantle of Captain America, and we don't really talk or focus on that, I don't know what Sam Wilson is thinking or anything like that.
No courage.
They don't.
They are a feckless organization that don't want to say anything that's going to upset a single person.
Yeah.
And this movie maybe plays lip service, but it barely plays lip service to a political idea.
Yeah.
Even though it's Captain America, and Captain America is a political figure, born out of 1938, Jack Kirby and Joe Simon putting Captain America on the cover of a comic book, punching Hitler in the face before America entered the war.
Yeah.
It is a political figure. And the fact that Brave New World is an apolitical movie is repulsive.
Thank you. Thank you, because it makes no sense that you can't take this character and really like dive deep into a lot of these issues that's currently affecting and be a mirror to what is happening in our world today.
You have the President of the United States in this movie.
Thunderbolt Ross.
Thunderbolt Ross.
Yep.
Which is a wild thing. You're like, no way.
Yeah.
Who would vote for Thunderbolt Ross? A lot of people. A lot of people would vote for Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford does a lot of great stuff with this character.
Yeah.
The redemption, like the guy who has an emotional arc in this movie is him for some reason.
Yeah, it's not Sam Wilson, who it should be.
But even that is poorly written.
Yeah.
And boy, do they really sell us on the idea of this guy loves cherry blossoms. Like, he's emotionally connected to these cherry blossoms for reasons.
Yeah.
Because we need to get him
to
those trees. So we can have the Red Hulk fight Captain America.
And the thing, and also another thing that really bothered me, and I don't know if this is a fault of the movie, but definitely a fault, like you were talking about Disney and the corporation and the marketing of this movie. The movie sells the Red Hulk to you in the promotion of this movie. So the film itself is building up to this climactic showdown between Falcon and Red Hulk, and we don't know what's happening.
And there are so many moments in the middle of this movie where like Harrison Ford's like, I'm getting so mad.
Exactly.
He's like, here comes the Hulk.
But as an audience, I think that would have played better if they kind of would have withheld some of that, and then that would have had more of an impact when you see him turning into the Red Hulk. But
Disney,
now it's like we're just waiting for that to happen.
Has no courage, right?
Yeah.
They chose butts in the seats over storytelling. They chose profit over storytelling, and that's why they had to let us know that the Hulk is coming, even though the whole movie's tension rests on whether or not the Hulk is going to be here.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, like I am not a person who believes that spoilers ruin a narrative. The movie should still work even if we know that the Hulk is going to be there. So we don't get the surprise of Red Hulk.
Yeah.
We get the Red Hulk. The build up to it doesn't work. The script is awful.
Yeah.
It is a hodgepodge. Giancarlo Esposito, like every scene he's playing is either with Sam Wilson or a telephone.
Yeah.
He's so clearly dropped in there last minute.
Yeah. Nope.
It feels like Marvel Studios is ashamed of its source material now. And it fills me with sorrow because the original phases of Marvel Studios, they were trying to adapt these big comic book wacky ideas.
Yeah.
And they've left all those wacky ideas, all those wacky characters, and it's only in namesake. They only do it in names for their namesake, and it's a shame. It's a shame. They've lost their way.
They have. What's your rating for this?
What if I was like B+? No way. It was a disappointment. It's not the worst movie in the world. It's not the worst MCU television show or movie. That's Secret Invasion. If you can check your brain out at the door, if you're not as so hung up on things like I am, if you can relax, then you might enjoy it.
I mean, you're right. And you said B minus. B minus for me as well. I mean, I just think you're right. It's not the worst movie in the world. It's not the worst MCU movie by far. But when you talk about Sam Wilson taking over the mantle, a black man taking
in 2025,
in 2025, taking over the mantle of the representation of America. I want a movie that's going to dive deeper into that. And it's just disappointing that Disney and Marvel and Kevin Feige and all the heads in charge were just too ashamed or afraid to tackle that. And it's infuriating. So yeah, B minus for me. So
if you liked what you just saw,
then check us out on YouTube at PGC TV Online. And we'll see you at the movies.